Hey, folks, it's August 6th, 2018, and we're back with a new episode of Three Men and an Anime. Huzzah!
Yay!
Hooray!
Uh, this week I'm joined by, as always, my co-hosts and good friends, Eric Carlson and Sonic Gav Leaf. How are you guys doing tonight?
I'm doing all right, despite the weather.
Yes. Just melting.
Oh,
It's a good job I do these shows, through the night when I should be sleeping because I'm not going to be able to sleep anyway. It's fine.
that hot, huh, Gav?
Oh, it's ridiculous.
Ugh.
I live in a country where everything was built to insulate. Somehow it's warmer. It's like a really nice temperature downstairs, but as soon as I come upstairs, it's like, nope, you're in the sauna now, boy.
It's sort of similar up here where Eric and I are because, similar latitude.
Yeah.
Yeah, except we actually have a market for air conditioners, so they're not $6,000.
No, dude, I'm way further north than you.
That's true. You are. I believe you are.
I'm on the same latitude as Russia, as fucking Moscow and Toronto. In fact, I'm further north than Toronto.
The really weird,
Yeah, but you got the whole weather weirdness.
Yeah, the Gulf Stream.
but because of the jet streams and such, Gav, it's actually usually warmer in the UK than it is here in the winter.
Yeah. Which I kind of hate. Anyway.
Anyways, we're going to be talking about Eric's most recent series selection, Steins Gate. None of us had seen this before.
Which I'm actually really surprised because of how dense it is. The gravity should have pulled us in a long time ago.
Yeah, no shit.
We were joking that the script of this was probably made from a neutron star.
Yeah. This has also been on my docket for pretty much since it came out. It just finally got around to seeing it.
Yeah, Eric and I both have been like, yeah, we both have known about Steins Gate for a while. We've had it on our list of shows to watch, and have just never gotten to it. I think we're both kind of kicking ourselves about that.
Yeah,
more than a little bit. All right, before we start, it is. We'll do our best to sort of in the early parts not go. We're not going to try to go heavy into the plot details because A, there's a lot of it. B, as we mentioned, this stuff is made out of stellar matter, in a good way, and we don't want to be here all fucking night.
Yeah,
we're gonna try to.
It really is.
Also, a lot of this really should be experienced relatively fresh.
Yes,
that's what I was gonna say. Yeah, it's one of those shows you need to watch for yourself. Even if we did explain every single thing that happens, you probably still need to see it for yourself just to get the whole gist of it.
Yeah.
Yep. So there's that. But even ignoring that, even with that, it is almost impossible to talk about the show without spoiling something.
Yes.
Yeah, so they're going to be spoilers.
So if you want to avoid spoilers and want to know whether we think this is a good show, yes.
Yes,
we all liked
sucked.
it. So I want to start things off by talking just about, in general terms, what we liked about the show, without talking about plot points or characters, and then we'll sort of say that now we're going to talk about plot point. We're going to talk about the characters and probably some plot points. This is a good time to tag out if you don't want to hear that.
Yeah.
So I want to start off by saying at least I felt it was very well paced, very smartly written. I thought the characters were well realized. The music was good. The sound work was great. I thought the animation looked pretty good, although I'm not the best judge of that.
Yeah, the animation is pretty damn good, especially for the time. You're not going to get a lot of crazy Sakuga battle moments out of it because there isn't.
There aren't any, no.
But
there are sort of quasi-action scenes here and there, but no.
There's a couple of where they the characters mockingly throw really over the top anime style poses. That's about as close as you get.
Yeah.
Yep. It is based on a visual novel. None of us have played it because I don't think any of us play VNs. So,
right.
I'm aware it was based on a VN. You can kind of tell to a certain degree. I I will say the other thing I am most impressed by is how well the entire show ties itself together and hangs together as a cohesive whole.
Yeah,
Yes.
there's
How is there a fucking sequel to this?
yeah.
I've done a little reading. Looks like it's going down an alternate possible timeline, basically.
Oh, great.
Right.
So we move from the alpha timeline to the beta timeline to the gamma timeline.
So just for spoilers, if you're not sure about this is a time travel series.
Yeah, yes. That's
Yes.
This is a time travel series that does a good job with it.
Yeah, well, it's not so much time travel as time manipulation.
Yeah, there's time travel.
There's a little bit, yeah, a little bit.
Just a bit of time travel.
Just a little bit. Yeah, just
Um,
a
Melt
weekend.
bananas.
So yeah, if you absolutely hate time travel and anything to do with it, I don't blame you. Because-
Put it this way, as I've stated in earlier episodes, the three of us devour fiction, especially science fiction. And at points, all three of us were like, wait, what? But how would she know that if what, and he does this, but then he undid this, and oh no, I've gone cross-eyed. There are moments where this show just explodes. Absolutely, the story just annihilates itself. Kaboom! And then somehow comes back and says, "No, that all made sense."
It hangs together astonishingly well. Like,
Yes.
I'm certain if we really tried, we could nitpick it to pieces. Although I think that would require rewatching it.
Yeah, that's the problem. So
Yeah.
rewatching it now, we know the outcome. That's the only way that you could nitpick it. We sat at the end when we finished watching the series, and we actually did like try to think through a few bits, and we just couldn't. We couldn't find something that didn't make sense.
Yeah. I mean, we probably have to... there's probably something in there as we go in, like, going over it with a fine-toothed comb, but on initial viewings, like, nothing jumps out and makes me go, what the fuck?
Yep, that takes doing.
Even the few bits where one of us would say, "Well, wait, hang on, how did X happen?" One of the others would have an explanation and say, "Oh no, it's because of this." "Oh right, you're right. Yeah, of course."
The thing is, there's a lot going on, so like
so
you probably will miss things here and there. Like it, there's a lot going on, despite the fact it doesn't have that huge a cast.
No, but I mean, the thing is, it's throwing a lot of scientific theories at you. So you've got multiverse theory. You've got what is it called? Predeterminism.
Yeah, there's a little bit of that. Yep.
Yeah, there's a little bit of, yeah.
There's there's a half a dozen paradoxes that it just like fucking dances around. Whoever wrote this, fucking hats off.
Yeah.
It is a good. It is a solid piece of science fiction. I mean, in all the good ways.
Yes.
I would say this is probably the third or fourth smartest show we've covered.
Yeah.
Like it's in the same league as Madoka Magica, Psychopaths, the first 2/3 of Kato the Right Answer. Before that show decided to stop trying. And there's one other one that we thought was pretty smart. Oh, yeah, Recreators.
Yeah. This show's also tight. There is nary a second of wasted space.
Like, it is a 24-episode show where it needs those fucking 24 episodes.
Yeah.
And it resolves its story. Like, its story resolves to the point that we were all completely baffled that there's a sequel.
Yeah.
It's more of a sidequel, it turns out. From what I understand.
But at the same time as well, it sticks to its genre, but it's happy to play with it as well. So it's like you've got the comedy, you've got a hell of a lot of tragedy, you've got a lot of sad moments, and then you're worried about, you start thinking about the moral implications of what's going on throughout it.
And yet, all this, there's some truly epic fuck yeah moments too. Just
yeah,
like,
it's got its fair share of fuck yeah moments, and everything is earned.
Yeah, it's really good. I think
it's
all
got
of this.
some great character work. Like,
Oh my god!
god damn, some great characters in here.
I think the other thing is I think the voice work is spectacular also.
Yes.
I think all of us were a little sort of not completely sold on the main character's voice acting at the beginning, and then as the show goes on, you realize, no, he's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okabe's voice actor, Mamoru Miyano, is fantastic.
Yeah, he's just playing a character who is playing himself.
Playing a character.
Yeah, exactly. He's playing himself larger than life and speaks in a ridiculous way because of it. But yeah. And also, one thing I will point out is, despite...
I'm not sad to super cool son of a bitch.
Oh, the English in that little bit.
Yeah. Despite the number of of women you can see in that title card there is a mild romance plot in there, but that doesn't overpower the show in any way. It doesn't become like
It doesn't become the focus.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
Typical mad scientist with fighting off hordes of women. It doesn't happen.
No. There are two women in Okabe's life that are really important to him. Mm-hmm. One of them turns out to be a romantic interest. The other is his best friend from when he was a kid, who is basically his little sister.
Yeah.
And he will move heaven and hell for her.
He will unmake the universe for her.
Yeah. But it's not a romantic thing, at least not in this series. It might very well be in the light novel, the visual novel.
Yeah, I'm almost certain she's a romantic choice in the light novel, but I don't know.
Well, it's like there's another one that flirts with him all the time. He doesn't reciprocate, or he'll just play along and have a... There's absolutely nothing there.
Besides,
almost
how'd you
like...
choose Miyushi over Chris? Chris is fucking Lisa Hayes.
I will say there are a couple of the other female characters do have crushes on him.
Oh yes,
yeah.
they have crushes, but it's almost this again. This is one of those things I like, where the relationship aspect of it is dealt so maturely. It's almost like in anime, a man and a woman can actually be friends, hang out, and not have something like that happen.
Yeah,
it's amazing. Who'd have thunk?
But yeah, there are a total of 9
across
characters.
Gender lines, impossible.
There are a total of 9 actual characters in the show. If on the title card we're using here, there are 8. There's exactly one missing. It's one of the other male characters. But he's not a major character in the show, except he's a major plot point. It turns out, but
yeah.
But again, there's a lot about the show that we think really handles really. It just, and there's an episode where it plays with its ending theme to screw with you. So you should probably stick it through the ending themes.
Yeah,
because there's an episode where that's really important that you do so.
To be fair, the ending themes are also the themes in general, both the opening and the ending, are pretty good.
Yep.
The thing I will note as well, that one that Peter mentioned is towards the end of the series, and it's also after a fairly good point where you'd think, okay, that's the show wrapped up. It's not. I think there's like 2 or 3 episodes left after that, but It's one of those. It's like it starts doing the Lord of the Rings thing. It's like this episode is definitely the ending. Until next week.
Yeah. There are a couple of times during the show where we're like, wait, how many episodes are left? But they're clearly wrapping things. Oh, that's not a good sign.
Oh, that exploded. Oh, that's is fire and sorrow. That's all that's happening there.
But yeah, I will say, the guy who plays Okabe is also Light Yagami in the anime in Death Note. So he's got chops.
The dubbed version of Death Note. So
fair enough. And he also has a small role in Overlord. He plays Pandora's actor, the Guardian of the Treasury. And apparently he's in Bungo Stray Dogs.
Of course he does.
He was in Bungo?
Yep. I'm going to find him. Oh, of course, he's Dazai in Bungo Stray Dogs. Of course.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That makes perfect fucking sense. Anyways, at this point, what we're going to start talking about stuff that's probably going to start to get a little bit spoilery. So I would recommend if you don't want to be spoiled about anything at all, you want to go to this as cold as possible. Pause the video now, watch the series, come back afterwards. You can hear us discussing it. But yeah, we all like this. We all recommend it. If you have not seen it, dear God, watch it. Give it a shot.
Yeah,
it's good. It's real good. All right. So, yeah. I think it's long enough to wait for people to realize they should stop, and we can start talking about stuff.
Yes.
So, yes, this is a time travel show. For the first, I don't know, maybe quarter to a third of it, it really comes across as being, lighthearted, fun for the most part. And it's funny. It's really funny.
Yes.
But I mentioned this partway through that it did a really good job of just having this very subtle creeping dread all current through the background. So when things go wrong, you're not shocked. It doesn't feel like it's completely out of place.
Yeah. It's like Hitchcock in a way. It's like you know something's on the horizon, something's crawling just out of your peripheral vision, and when it hits, it's almost a relief. Except it's not.
No.
And it continually ramps this up. Like it reaches a plateau of bad, while at the same time building something else up in the background, and then it jumps to the next plateau.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's kind of really masterfully done.
It's really well done. So basically, the early part of the show is getting to know the main cast, really, and what they're doing. So you've got Rintaro Okabe, who has what's the name he goes by? Crap.
Okarin.
No, that's what Mayushi calls
that's what everyone else calls him.
Hohoin Kiyoma.
Kiyoma!
Yeah, Kiyoma
Yes.
Hohoin, yes.
Yeah.
Because he thinks it's a better mad scientist name. He is a very bright young man. Loves science.
Sounds like a grade schooler.
Is convinced he is basically playing at being a mad scientist.
Yeah.
He's got a quote lab, which is basically his apartment, as near as I can tell.
Yeah. He loves ranting about various conspiracy theories and coming up with various lunatic bits of fantasy that he'll yammer into his not turned on phone.
Yep. And he's got a code phrase that the people he trusts use to make sure they identify themselves to him, so he knows that they're really them and not the organization out to get him.
The organization,
which is the phrase is El Sai Konguru, which means absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
This is a theme.
Yes, he comes up with a lot of names for his plans or whatever that mean goddamn nothing.
Again with the Norse mythology.
He does it because he thinks they sound cool and fun.
Yes.
And for a little while, you sit there thinking, is he completely insane or is this an act? And it's mostly an act.
It's mostly just him dicking around and having fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And try to keep things lighthearted for, his, and have fun and keep things lighthearted for his childhood friend, Mayuri Shina. Mayuri is...
And his super hack.
Oh, and his hacker buddy, yes, Daru Hashida. Oh my god. So, Mayuri is, oh my god, adorable.
She's a puppy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's sweet and adorable. Not terribly bright, but is aware of this and is happy to I don't get what's going on, but you're enjoying it, so that's cool by me.
And yet she's got a real grasp on bigger picture stuff that a lot of the other people in the show really don't.
She's very emotionally intelligent. She picks up on stuff much quicker than what's going on with people much quicker than others.
She has a habit of just breaking things down into everyone's worried about the complexities of everything and the details, and she just breaks it down I think you should do this because that's not a very nice thing to do otherwise.
And you're like, okay. Yeah, you're right. Mayuri's usually right about that shit. You look at her, she comes across as you'd think she's sort of your classic moe blob of adorable. Yes, and yet there's a lot more to her than that. She's
I said, she's very emotionally intelligent. She's profoundly compassionate and kind.
Yep.
And kind of knows exactly what buttons to push to get people to do what they need to do without being a manipulative bitch.
There's also a little sort of undercurrent of sadness about her too, is the thing.
Yeah, there's definitely a melancholy to her that does a great job of, like, what's the word I'm looking for?
Grounding her?
Yes, thank you.
It makes her feel more real, honestly. I mean,
yes. And it's definitely melancholy and not, say, ennui or sadness.
No.
It's sort of a formless. It's sort of a formless sadness, really. Like, there's no directed purpose to it.
No.
Like,
I mean, she had a somewhat rough childhood, but she always had Okabe there for her.
Yeah.
And again, like, her family's gone, so he's her family now. I mean,
yeah.
And
but
they love each other the way family does. I mean, it's
yeah. And I want to say, like, the whole, like, melancholy thing is definitely, like, deep, like, third tier layers of her personality.
Yes, absolutely.
Like, it's not obvious until as the show goes on.
Yeah, totally.
It does not define her at all. It's just an extra layer to the character.
Yep, I'd agree with that.
Which you're going to find happens a lot in this show.
What? No.
I love the character work in this show.
It's so
Holy
good.
crap.
Oh, the character work in the show is fantastic. The third character, the other two major characters we were introduced to pretty early on are Kurisu Makise and Daru Hashida. Daru is the third member of the lab at the start of the show. He is a super hacker. Hacker with the C and a K, not just the K. The way apparently the way Okabe pronounces it, because Daru corrects him all the time. I can't hear the difference between either the way the two of them are saying it, but
For a while, I thought he was saying hack instead of hacker.
He was pronouncing it like a hard K and A on the end and no R. He was like haka.
Haka. No, hacker.
Daru is your classic otaku hacker. I mean,
yeah.
He's an otaku through and through. He's brilliant with computers. He's socially inept. Overweight. Wears glasses. Like, he is your stereotypical otaku hacker, and yet he feels like a person still.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's the guy that sits in your little group of friends that sits in the corner and makes the "that's what she said" joke far too much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
he does that in the show, basically.
I will say Daru's probably the least interesting of the main cast.
He is. I would agree with that.
Yeah. Definitively, simply because what he is right out there. He doesn't bother to cover it up. He's actually he's proud of his status. He's like, this is what I am, and I'm cool with that. Fuck you if you don't like it.
Yeah, basically.
Which I gotta respect.
And he's not a bad guy. It's just that he's
no, not at all.
He could do with thinking about what he says more often than he does.
Just a bit,
because he comes across as an ass more than a few times.
Yeah, there's a couple of scenes like where Mayuri's a cosplay fanatic, and she keeps trying to get people to dress up, and like somebody's trying on a costume in the spare room, and somebody says something along the lines of, "Oh God, that's tight," and he leans back and says, "Could you say that again, but slower?" Fuck's sake.
He does that joke a lot.
Yeah.
Especially early on.
He mellows. They mellow him out, but...
Well, a lot's going on, so it kind of understandable.
Yeah.
We are also very early on introduced to Kurisu, who is, she is a brilliant scientist prodigy. And
yeah.
Like, as I said, Okabe is very smart, and he understands science, and he's a clever guy. Kurisu is a genius.
Yeah. She's She's stupendously intelligent, and I love Chris. Chris is amazing. She's my favorite character.
Wonderful character. She's brilliant. A little socially inept, but not very.
Yeah, she's which is believable because she's so intelligent and is like she's already got like degrees and shit, and she's only like
rocketed
18.
through school.
Yeah, it's perfectly believable that she's a little detached from social interaction because she hasn't really had a chance to develop socially.
Right. And, her relationship with her father is not good. Boy, it turns out it's not good.
Turns out it's kind of apocalyptically bad.
Like, she talks about that she has had a bad relationship with her father, and she talks about some stuff, and you're like, oh, that's sad, that's bad. You don't realize how bad it is until towards the end of the series, and you're like,
yeah,
oh!
She's downplaying it.
Because she does that a lot.
Yeah. She's also just like a goddamn rock.
Yes.
Like she's always calm, cool, and collected, even in like the worst of circumstances. She's always the one to think things through to their conclusion. She's great, and the relationship that develops between her and Okabe is amazing because he. So, time loops start to happen, and Okabe is the only one that can remember what's going on between them.
Yep.
And she's always there. She always believes him and always helps him come to the next step into the solution.
Usually it takes a little bit of time for him to explain to her. And in one of the loops, she basically says, okay, look, I'm largely responsible for building this particular device. And she basically tells him, like, I know that if you explain things right to me, I will believe you in the past.
Right.
And, she gives him and she eventually gives him a few tips to actually, to basically things to say to her that will utterly say, yeah, look, this is what you told me in the future. And she'll go, I wouldn't have told, okay, yeah, okay, you got to be for the future. Okay. Right. Okay, good. Got it.
Wait, I told you that? Oh, fuck you, future me.
That is, in fact, something she says.
Yes.
Oh, man.
She's also a giant nerd, but is embarrassed by it.
Yes.
Which is, like...
So people will catch her out with setting up for well-known memes and like nerds, phrases and that culture, like the future me, past me bullshit.
Yeah.
Right.
All that kind of stuff. And people will set something up and she'll respond in the way, and they'll be like, aha! She's like, no, I didn't say it.
You totally spent time on
God damn it!
You totally get this nerd references. No, I don't. Yes, you do. You're one of us. So yeah, she eventually, through shenanigans, ends up getting pulled into the lab, basically.
It's entirely shenanigans, and she totally lets herself get pulled in because...
Yes.
Well, she doesn't really have friends.
Yeah.
And these guys are being nice to her after a fashion.
Yeah, Okabe gives her crap, but in the way that, you give crap to your friends.
Yeah. Like, he always calls her Christina. There's no Tina!
Tina! Okay, assistant, I'm not your assistant.
Because, again, he's playing his mad scientist thing, and he damned if he's going to drop it, until it really fucking matters, actually.
Yeah.
And, yeah, he does. So, anyways, he's... Very early on, he realizes that he's accidentally built a time machine.
All they're trying
to... subject to change.
All they're trying to make is a microwave you can activate with your phone.
Yep.
Because this is what his lab does. They create useless nothings that will never catch on.
He builds random crap that he thinks is interesting to build.
Yeah.
And Darrow names them badly.
Future Gadget something or other, version 2.75 alpha. There's only for one version.
Yeah, there's a great line where Chris picks up it's a camera on a propeller. So
Yeah.
kind of like
Basically,
a
it picks
drone.
up a drone, basically.
It's a drone camera, yeah.
Yeah.
But they're saying, that's Future Gadget 2.054 or 2.8 or something like that, and it's like, so what's wrong with it? Well, the whole thing spins, so the camera can't really focus on anything because it's just a spinning blur. She goes, wait, you got to 0.8 and you haven't figured that out?
You got to version 3.8 and you haven't figured that out? Well, there's only one prototype.
That's the
Stara's
first
bad
one.
at naming shit. But the best part of it is she's like, wow, you built this camera drone thing. This is why haven't you told it? Well, it's got problems. The whole camera spinning thing. It's like, oh. But yeah, so he built this. They built the microwave thing, and they try microwaving bananas in it, and they turn green and gel like with no flavor.
Yeah.
Transparent green gel. They're like, this is really weird. We got to figure out what the hell's going on with this.
Right.
And then when it gets really weird is when it turns up back on the bunch.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the weird bit. But that was after. It turns out that if he uses the phone while the microwave is active, he can send text messages back in time.
Just quick little bursts of energy to a recipient device, which phones works nicely.
Yeah, he discovered this. They discovered this entirely by accident, and everything changed. Like what things might change around them, and as Eric pointed out, he is the only person who remembers the way things were before.
Yeah, they spend the first couple of episodes like in a. What do you mean you went to this? That wasn't on. What are you on about?
Yeah, that speech was canceled. That presentation was canceled because of the accident on top of the roof.
Yeah.
Yeah, a satellite crashes into the roof of a building, by the way.
Yes,
Yeah.
satellite crashed on the roof of the
It's
building in the first episode. He also sees Chris stabbed to death in the first episode. Sees Chris lying on the floor, dead in a pool of blood, having been stabbed to death.
Mm.
She's fine after that though.
Yeah, bump back into her because it turns out that the talk he went to was her talk.
It was a different. He ends up going to her speech the next day
Yeah.
about how time travel is impossible instead of the speech by a different scientist about time travel, a potential time travel machine he was working on. That
Amusingly, they go into this whole bit about John Teeter, who I remember from like the early 2000s showing up in the tabloids as a time traveler,
right.
like Weekly World News and shit. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember John Teeter. Cool.
This is not at all important. It's important.
A little bit.
So, at any rate, so Chris basically decimates Okabe in the lecture where he tries to talk about why time travel should be possible, and she basically proved mathematically that it's not. But at this point, he doesn't really realize he's created a time machine. He's just confused by everything. It's like, why is everything different than I remember it? What the hell?
He's like, I'm pretty sure I remember sitting in another lecture and causing shit because that's what he does.
Right.
He goes to lectures to argue people's theories in
That's
most
fun.
cases because it's fun to him, yeah. And he says, I know I caused shit with that dude, and apparently it never happened.
Also, this girl I'm arguing with, I know I saw her dead. What the hell?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I don't remember the satellite crashing in the building, which you think I would remember. However, so anyways, Chris eventually, follows up with him because there's something about the way about him that she found sort of interesting, and had to say, okay, what the hell is this guy up to? Like, he presents himself as a scientist. He's clearly kind of a bonkers. What the hell? This is your lab? This is not a lab. This is an apartment. What the? What are you working on? What? And eventually, he does eventually realize that they might have something vaguely time traveling going on with the microwave. thing. And especially when she comes in and they basically start poking around with stuff.
And
she
actually
eventually
having some methodology to their experimentation.
right, and then he comes to the realization that it's a time machine, and she freaks out and runs away.
Time machines are a bit of a sore spot for her, but that's yeah.
We find that out more later.
Yeah.
So yeah, he eventually runs into her at the laundromat, if I remember correctly.
It is something really inconspicuous.
And, basically they get to talking again, and he basically gets her to agree to join the lab if she wants to come check on things again, because,
Yeah, she's only actually in Japan for a couple of weeks.
It's a month.
Is it a month?
Something
Either
like
way.
that.
Yeah, and then she's going back to the US to continue her studies.
Yeah.
So, look...
I distinctly remember it's a month because the show takes place over the course of a month.
More or less, yeah. So it's like, okay, well, while you're here, join the lab. Obviously you're staying at a hotel. You can come by whenever you like, and you can help us figure this out.
And, you will always, even if you leave and go back to the United States, I will always consider you to be a member of the lab. You're always
always be
welcome
my
to come
assistant.
back.
I'm not your assistant.
You are member number 4, and I will never give that number to anybody else. Which is kind of nice, actually.
Yeah.
It's sweet.
He also wins her over with a freshly pressed lab coat, and everyone, scientists love lab coats.
Yes. You never see Okubi without a lab coat. Well, except
Never.
for one point, but that's weird alternate timeline stuff. And tragic.
Oh my god, yes.
Yeah.
So, so that's Chris. She basically ends up adding a bit of actual scientific methodology to the lab, which they need in a lot of ways.
Desperately.
And they start making actual progress with the the phone microwave name subject to change.
Name subject to change. We have to keep saying that last part. Can we just drop that?
The other characters of note are Mr. Brown, who's the which is not his actual name, who's the man who owns the building. He runs a CRT TV shop underneath on the ground floor.
Yep.
Ruka, who is a young high school student whose father runs a shrine, who is adorable as fuck.
Yes, the other puppy in the show.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Like super cute, super feminine. Actually, a guy.
There's actually a really hilarious bit where Okubi, you have some of Okubi's internal monologue going on. Sweet feminine voice, slim body to die for, totally a dude.
Yeah.
And the thing about Ruko is very clearly has a crush on Okabe. I mean, like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Not subtle at all. And
is fully aware that he is 100% straight and will never do it.
Yeah. And the other thing about it is, it tends to wear women's clothing. I mean...
No, he's clearly trans, and everyone's just like, yeah, that's him. That's cool.
That's the thing is, Okabe's like, yeah, what, like, apparently, like, there's a bit later on where they talk about the first time they met, and, people were harassing Ruka with cameras and such, and, Okabe basically drives them off and, such. And, he reveals to Okabe that, he's a guy. And Okabe's like, I don't care.
So?
You're you.
Yeah. People are harassing you. I mean, just to take note, this does take place in Akihabara.
Yes.
So, yeah, this is why there's simultaneously a CRT shop and people, feminine people being harassed with cameras.
And, like, maid bars and...
Yeah.
It is Otaku Central. And so, and that's sort of, where it's actually, like, Okabe's like, so she, and, Ruka's very good friends with I can't remember her name all of a sudden.
Mayushi,
yeah. They're great friends. Mayushi also has a part-time job at a maid cafe, a cat girl maid cafe.
Yeah.
Because of course.
Run by, which turns out is one of the girls who works there with her, who turns out actually runs the place, is Ferris, who also has very clearly has a crush on Okabe.
Kinda. She's like that with everybody, though.
Yeah, she's a
But
playful flirt.
She's a big old flirt.
She's definitely a big old flirt, but there's more to it with Okabe, and it becomes much
which
more
doesn't
clear
really
later.
come into it till
Later.
till her story arc of tragic shit.
Yes, but it's
And everyone's got one.
but it was very clear to me, at least, that it was more than just her usual flirtiness with Okabe, even at the beginning.
Okay.
Like, he's very much someone she cares about. And it was also, I mean, it was that sort of kid, yes, I've got a crush on him and such, but, you know, he's got Mayuri, who was like my best friend, yet no, not doing anything on that.
Yeah.
Despite that they're not romantically entangled.
Yeah, they're not in any way, shape, or form romantically entangled. It's entirely plutonic, which I think is great. I really love that they have that.
Yep.
But they're so close, and it's not rammed down your throat. They have to be. They have to fuck.
Right.
They can just be droogs.
It is, Mayuri is someone Okabe literally, as we said, will unmake the universe for, and it's not a romantic thing. It is.
And she would do the same for him.
Yep.
As we find out.
Yep. It is. It's more than that, is what it boils down to. I mean.
Yeah.
And who else we forget? Who we forget? Oh, right, we've got the other two major characters.
Suzu and
Moeka.
Moeka, right.
So Suzu is this 18-year-old girl who shows up one day, gets a part-time job at at Mr. Braun's store, and ends up becoming friends with everybody.
Yep.
And occasionally drops little hints about claiming she's a soldier. Total bullshit, right? No.
Yeah. Total bullshit. She doesn't ever become friends with Chris.
No, she has real issues with Chris.
She has real issues with Chris, and
which to everybody, especially Chris, is like, what? Why?
Yeah, they're never in the same room with those who are just shooting daggers at Chris.
And it turns out there are reasons for this. Moeka is the most socially inept person in the series by about, I don't know, a light year.
And considering Daro's in the room, that's significant.
Daro can talk to people.
Yes.
He's crass and annoying, but he can actually have a conversation with somebody.
Yes.
Moeka can't. She prefers conversing with people via text message.
Like, even if they're stood right in front of her, she'll glance up at them for a second, then back down to her phone and send them a message and wait for them to respond.
Yeah.
And she
Which, again, Okabe handles like a champ. He just carries on the conversation, occasionally glancing at her responses on the phone.
Every now and then he gets kind of exasperated and says, okay, look, just talk to me.
Yes. As any right-thinking person would.
You're right there. Just talk, please.
Sir, this takes place in 2010. It's like, I've got limited texting on this. Just, you're costing me a fortune, hon.
And Okabe's not rich.
No.
Basically, all his money goes into the lab and food and his cell plan, as far as I can tell.
And rent.
Yes, well, that's the lab.
The pittance of rent Mr. Brown charges them.
It's ever-fluctuating rent.
Because Mr. Brown and Kate will often threaten to raise their rent by a few thousand yen. And that increase causes Okabe to panic. It's like, no! I can't afford that. I'm sorry. Moeka basically runs into Okabe on the street, takes a photo of him. He's kind of doesn't really want that because, you know, the organization might find it.
The organization will find me and use that photo against me. And you, for your own sake, delete that photo.
But she eventually asks him whether he knows if he's ever seen a particular computer, an IBM 5100. And he's like, no, never heard of it. She's like, oh, well, he's like, but I do know someone who might know something about it because he knows a lot more about computers than I do. And she's like, "Oh, well, give me his name." And he's like, "I'm not gonna just give my friend's name out to some random person on the street. I'm sorry. Look, give me your phone number. I'll talk to my friend. If he knows anything about it, I'll let you know." As an aside, that was remarkably smart of a cop.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, that's actually a really good way to handle that. It's like, no,
Yeah.
I'm not telling you I'm not giving you information on a friend of mine's to some random chick I meet on the street. Sorry, no.
That strikes me as unwise.
And it turns out to have been a far wiser idea than we thought at first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, lots of stuff happens. They eventually are told that. Okay, this is where things start getting a little weird. So, yeah, Okabe finds John Titor online. He had books on John Titor that have disappeared, and apparently Titor never showed up in the year 2000. And Okabe is confused by this, but he finds Titor has just shown up online.
Yeah, on their equivalent of Reddit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he starts talking with Titor and about time travel and shit because, etc. And Titor business says, he's from the future, the year 2036. It's a dystopia because, okay, CERN, the physics group in Switzerland, I believe, who built the Large Hadron Collider. Yeah, they're actually have developed time travel and have taken over and are now ruling the future as despotic overlords.
Sure, buddy.
CERN. K. So, yeah, Okabe's sort of a little. Given that weird shit's been going on, he's a little weirded out by this, but he eventually has Daru hack into CERN. Because, Daru is a super hacker.
Right.
And Daru succeeds. And they find all sorts of weird shit.
Well, they find a few
emails.
references, and emails to things, but they can't read them.
They can read some basic, it's all in English. They can't read it.
Right.
There is that, yeah. Great little, because obviously Chris has studied in America. She can. And there's a great little line that comes along where Kiyomo starts giving us lip, and she just takes a step back. Why don't you try reading it yourself?
Yeah,
okay.
they managed to decipher some of the emails by basically using Google Translate.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they find some references to experiments that are in these files that Daru can find the files, but he can't read them. They're in some weird format. He has no idea what the fuck they are.
Mm-hmm.
It also refers to human fatalities, and they're like, the fuck?
Human is dead mismatch.
Yeah, and they're like, what? But this is CERN. They study small subatomic particles. That's what they do.
Yeah, this whole human experimentation, that's not CERN. They don't do biotech.
At least that's our reaction.
Yeah.
So eventually he talks to Titor again. Titor tells him, "Oh, what you like? Yeah, they've got this. Apparently, they've got this technology stuff that's based on old computer technology. What you need is something like an IBM 5100 to read it."
Dun dun dun.
Yep. The penny drops.
Yeah.
Mayuri actually knows that Ferris's dad had a bunch of old computers. Maybe he has them. Turns out that he gave the IBM to the local shrine, the one that Ruka's dad has. So they get it, and Chris helps him carry it back because it's a portable computer by 1980s level, 1980 meaning of portable, in that you can move it
with a friend.
Yeah, it's big, it's heavy. So they get it back, they hook it up, Daru gets in, and they start going through these files, and Chris is helping them read them because this is not merely just a normal email that you could translate using Google Docs. This is scientific data. It's
there's jargon involved. There's a lot of jargon involved.
And so Chris starts reading through it and starts freaking them. She's like, "This is CERN? What the hell?" But there's more info on like the time travel stuff, and like they've clearly been experimenting with time travel. And whenever they send humans back, they end up in some weird random other time when they were aiming, and they've been turned into green, transparent, gelatinous goo.
Everyone looks at the
familiar?
bananas.
Yeah, the bananas.
That's at the moment where they realize that the microwave they've got hooked up is basically trying to send a banana back in time.
Yep.
And turning it into goop.
Yep, because the amount of what they can send through the micro black hole that's created at CERN, that CERN created and that they've created with their microwave, effectively, apparently, somehow. How the fuck? I don't. No.
The science of it is a micro black hole is created by passing electricity through a ring of aluminium, which opens a micro black hole, and you can push something through it, but only an extremely limited amount of data. The whole thing will go through, but what comes out the other end is questionable, i.e., green goop people.
Well, because almost all the most of the actual physical mass has been annihilated by the black hole.
Yeah, it's just biological mush. And we see some extremely graphic pictures of decomposed half skulls and
it's unpleasant. Yeah. And they realize that the reason that these text messages are working is they're very small amounts of data.
Right. There's no loss to the black hole.
Yeah, well, I mean, they even noticed that, when they send an especially long text, they still get there, but they go in, they'll arrive in 3 different parts.
Right. So, yeah, they've got a functioning time machine that at this point they decide to start experimenting with. By sending emails back in the past. And these do have effect, and Okabe's the only one who actually remembers shit. The first thing Okabe does is basically, send the third place winning numbers on the lotto back in time so that he could,
Yeah, because the winning numbers are too obvious.
And,
they don't want to raise certain suspicions.
and to be fair, this turns out is actually a really good idea.
Yes.
Because certain are evil overlords, apparently. What the hell?
Certain are, in fact, evil in this. For reasons.
At any rate, unfortunately, there was a guard. Unfortunately, he sent the message to Ruka to get the ticket. Ruka got the numbers wrong, one of the numbers wrong, so it was.
So it ended up losing. Didn't get anything.
But it proved that the idea worked.
Yeah.
And they start experimenting with stuff. Ruka eventually sends one back. Basically ends up sending a text to his mom's pager before he was born, with advice because Ruka is trans and wants to be, and really feels like he should be a girl.
Yeah. And
so he sends back information to folk thing about how folk remedy type thing to if you eat lots of vegetables when you're pregnant you'll have a girl, if you eat lots of meat you'll have a boy.
Yeah, Chris is the first one to say, I mean, I get what he's going for.
It doesn't work that way. That's not how science works.
Yeah.
Well, they're sort of debating, should we is it okay to have this happen? And Chris is like, A, if it makes him happy, fine. B, the odds of that actually working are, non-existent, so whatever. Yeah, it works.
Yeah. It's a particularly awkward moment where the girls are talking about going to the beach, and Okabe's like, "Oh, if it's just the girls, and I guess Ruka can't go." And there was like, "Dude, what the fuck are you talking about? Oh, Ruka's a guy, right? Dude, why are you being a dick?" Which would be the appropriate response anyway, but
yeah,
it turns out no, she's now a genetic woman.
Much to Okabe's Okabe's like, "Oh my god, I'm so awful." I mean, the thing is, he feels horrible about the way he's talked to her and acted there. He's like, "Oh my god, wow."
Well, it's worse than that because the one time that he shows any sort of scientific method, he decides to get hands-on evidence that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really uncomfortable, and
so he gropes her and is like, "Oh, that's
not a penis.
That's on a penis. I'm gonna go hang myself."
Well, Chris clonks him on the head and makes him basically,
It's handled about as well as it could be, but yeah.
Yeah.
And again, he realizes he fucked up hard.
He does not feel good about himself afterwards and realizes the extent of his mistake.
Yeah. Yeah. Ferris, wants to send a message back about something, which she, basically demands that he not know, and he's like, okay, fine. And she sends a message back, and Akibara's no longer got Moe culture at all. It's just like electronics.
Yeah. It's just electronics. It's no longer.
There's no longer like a thriving manga and doujin industry in Akibara, which is just like, wait, what?
Yeah, they're having a conversation about going up to, is it Nagano?
Yeah, to go to Comic-Con, basically.
Yeah, to get some. What are you on about? There's like the store's right there. Turns around, it's selling fans.
Yeah.
The fuck? He looks around. The fuck?
Yeah, the maid cafe gone.
Gone.
Yeah, they got to know Ferris at a card game tournament in this timeline.
Turns out Ferris is actually really fucking rich.
Well, they knew that when they went to visit her.
They did, but it's like more of a case of she didn't just like work at that cafe. She basically owns it, and half of the city.
Yeah,
they live in like the tallest tower, and it's literally the Mufasa Simba moment. Wherever the light falls is your kingdom, my child.
Yeah.
She owns fucking everything.
This is where she actually asked to send the email.
Yeah. And she was the one that introduced maid culture at all to Akihabara, which then took off and became what we know.
Right. Turns out she did all this because her dad was dead at the time. He's not anymore.
Yeah, we find this out later. We didn't know that at the time there was no evidence that her dad was dead.
Except for the fact he shows up in the room that Okabe's in.
Shush!
It's one of those things. They never mention it. It's kind of obvious if you've watched it.
If you're paying attention, of course that's what's going on. But
But it just turns out that in this reality, she asked Dad about starting a maid cafe, and he said no.
Yeah.
Literally, there was no one around to stop her. There was somebody to stop her.
Yep.
And yet the entire fucking city is changed. Now, how the relationship between everyone stays the same is a little bit weird. They have
actually does a great job of explaining it, because the idea is each timeline is like a strand in a rope. It still moves towards a particular destination point. It's only after you manage to get the timeline to deviate enough that it jumps to another rope.
Yeah,
right. And they haven't done that yet. This is where we also find out, shortly after this, we find out Suzu claims she's actually from the future and has come back to stop, Turn from taking over.
Which they've been dropping hints on over and over again.
Yep.
No, it's okay, you haven't been brainwashed, I can't see a chip.
What?
The chip thing never comes up again. That's the one thing I'm disappointed about.
For reference, Ocarina comes out of the lab looking a bit bedraggled and worn down after something else happens. In fact, I think it might be the incident with Ruka.
Yeah,
and
after Chris has basically
beat the hell out of him.
And he's feeling awful, and he's like, I don't think I've, like, she's like, you look terrible. He's like, yeah, I don't think I've been brainwashed. She's like, brainwashed? Glares is like, pushes him down a chair, looks in his eyes. No, I don't see a chip. You're okay. What?
And he's so out of it at that moment, he doesn't push the thing, but we're just like, whoa,
it's exactly the kind of thing that he'd pull. So he's like, okay.
Yeah. Questions to be answered.
Yeah, and never are. Really.
No,
I mean, again,
one of the first emails that someone else sends back is actually Mokaba's, where she, I want to change my phone.
Moeka, that's a little bit later.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure that.
Okay.
Yeah, because I think they. Any moot point. She does send that eventually. No, you're right. That's it's one of the early ones. It's definitely after the lottery one though.
It's after the
Yeah, it's
lottery
after
run,
the-
but before Ruka.
That's right. Yeah, you're right. And yeah, she wants to change her phone, and she wants to not buy a new phone, I think.
Yeah, she changed her phone recently. She wants to tell herself not to do so.
And yeah, she's disappeared. Apparently never part of the lab, and the IBN's gone. They never got it.
Yep.
What?
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you doing the math, children?
Yeah. Eventually, Okabe and Chris come up with a way to build a device through actually studying stuff. Through finding out that the D-mail really only works properly when one of the big CRTs downstairs is on. Turns out there's a device called a lifter that the CERN was using, and the TV seems to be acting as one.
Yeah.
And B, they eventually figure out that might be able to send someone's memories back in time, as opposed to just sending a D-mail.
It turns out one of Chris's major thesis in America was about the recording and saving of memory.
Yep.
Yeah.
And how that
neurological weirdness.
Yeah, and how that applies to like digitizing memory and seeing what they can do with it and transferring it. And she says, well, in theory, if we can do that and we can compress it and send it back as a data stream, then we could, in theory, send someone back along their own timeline.
And
So
Okabe's the only person they really
want
want to.
this.
Okabe's the only one who really can do it because he's the only one they know retains memory.
Yeah.
Of what the timeline was before.
But we don't want to experiment because, it might cause mutually assured annihilation of the subjects, and we don't want to do that.
So they have the device built, but they don't really ever use it. And Okabe eventually decides, after talking to everybody, and Mayushi basically saying, this seems like a terrible idea. They're like, yeah, we're not going to turn it or use it, and we're just going to announce it we're going to announce it.
Yeah. We'll build the prototype. We'll write the paper. We'll announce it and publish it and all that stuff, and that'll be really awesome. Because it would be.
Yeah. Turns out. Oh, so all this time during this period of time, Okabe starts getting weird texts that someone's watching. That's people saying, "We're watching you," with lots of creepy images, and it's freaking him the fuck out. Understandably. So they're having their little party to to celebrate what they've done. When shit starts getting weird. One thing that I noticed that Gav and Eric missed is they've got a sort of an hourglass in the apartment that I noticed that they actually cut in close to it and show a big shot of it, and the sand's not moving in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did the typical thing where they framed the shot from up on the shelf. So naturally, your eyes go to the cast and watch what they're doing. It's just a framing device. But if you're paying attention, the sand in the hourglass isn't moving.
And then eventually, a little bit later, Moeka comments that her watch has stopped. But she remembers not Moeka, Mayuri. Her watch has stopped. Moeka's not there. Because again, that was never part of the lab.
So here's the funny thing: I had noticed the sand hadn't moved. I hadn't picked up on the significance of it because, of course, they're not going to bother animating that. They have all those characters to animate. They need to save the money for other shit. No, that was entirely on purpose.
Yeah. And the reason I noticed is because, again, this is all about time travel and time manipulation. So when something involving time isn't moving, I get suspicious. Yeah, my breath kind of caught my throat when I saw that.
Yeah, I just watching so many cartoons just assumed, budget saving, whatever.
Right, totally. I totally get why you did that.
Register it wasn't animated until Peter pointed it out, and yeah.
And I think they were playing on that intentionally.
Yes. Oh, they clearly were.
But yeah, Mayuri's watch stops, and then the door gets kicked out. Suzu books it for some reason.
Right.
The door gets kicked in shortly thereafter. In walks a bunch of guys in masks, and Moeka in like a catsuit.
Yeah, she's gone on full Miss Peel.
Yeah,
some reason.
full M appeal. Yeah, by
It's-
cat suit,
it's
I don't
totally
mean
a
like
tactical cat suit though. She's got like the combat harness on over it. And,
sure.
Like, the pockets of extra ammo. That she's
she's
she's dressed like the Baroness.
basically yes, without the Cobra
Hmm.
symbol.
Yeah.
Basically,
Right down to the
dye
glasses.
her hair black, put a Cobra symbol on the chest, and it's the Baroness. I mean,
Yes.
yeah. And everyone starts freaking out. They're there. They're basically taking everybody into hostage. Everyone is important. Daru,
Daru,
Okabe, Chris.
Okabe.
Because it's only those three and Mayuri in the room at the time.
Yeah.
And so, Okabe says, "What about Mayuri?" Well, she's not needed. By the way, Moika's got a gun.
Yeah. Everybody
And
has guns.
everybody has
the
guns,
entire
except for-
team has guns.
And yeah, she shoots Mayuri, kills her, dead.
Yeah. Then Suzu shows up, starts kicking ass, and goes, "The TV's on," and shouts, "The TV's on."
So, Chris and Okabe's freaking out because Moika's dead.
Right.
Like,
Not
holy
Marika,
shit.
Mayuri.
Mayuri's
Mayuri.
dead. Oh my god, Mayuri's dead. But the two of them managed to get their shit together quickly enough to send him back. Because they can only do 48 hours. That's as far as they can send him back.
Well, they could send him back further, but the device
No.
won't exist then.
They actually, I don't think she even says that.
No, they do at some point. They do at some point start sending you back further. Basically, they don't need the device to receive. They only need to send.
So if something goes wrong, he won't be able to go back to try to fix it.
Right.
The device won't exist yet. Go back any further, then there's a chance that he might prevent the device from existing.
I believe that. My understanding is they can only send him back in 48-hour leaps, but moot point, not important. 48 hours is a limit that they have for reasons.
Yeah.
So they send him back 48 hours. And thus begins the tragedy.
Yeah.
Oh God! Here comes the magic roundabout of puppy kicking.
As we spend an entire episode with Okabe trying to save Mayuri and failing over and over and over and over and over and in increasingly tragic ways.
Yes.
He goes full Homer on this.
He goes full Homura from Madoka Magica. Just, oh my god.
The thing is, this is where the predeterminism, as you mentioned earlier, the whole analogy of timelines being a rope. Certain things along that rope, doesn't matter how many strings you bounce around, certain things are set and certain things are going to happen. So, yeah, congratulations, you kept Mayuri away from Moeka, and Moeka didn't kill her. But, she's tripped and got run over by a car.
Or, the Mr. Braun's adorable little daughter sees them at the train station as they're getting away and comes skipping up to surprise her and accidentally trips and knocks Mayuri in front of the train, which runs her over.
Yeah.
Always proceeded with Mayuri going, my watch has stopped, and Okabe going, no!
Yeah.
It's
the one time that he tries his hardest to just say, look, I'm not. He gets so desperate that he's going to try and kill himself so that she survives. And Mayuri leaps in front of him and pushes him out of the way to save him.
Well, he comes to the very right conclusion that I'm the commonality here. If I remove myself from the equation, then she'll survive. And no, that's not how that works.
It is. Oh my god.
It's absolutely heartbreaking. And the thing is, it's so well done and written. The way the writing works and the anime, even the character design changes over time. But you see his character evolve like Groundhog Day. It's literally that. He lives that so many times that eventually he comes back. The mad scientist is gone. The over the top bullshit's gone. He's just like
he's so much more subdued and worn down. Like he's down to a nub.
The only outlet he's got is that Chris believes him. That when he explains to Chris, and she's fully on board with what he's saying based on his theory. I mean, it's all theoretical to her, but she's happy to play it out and say, okay, if this is going to happen, this is what we need to do.
Yep.
And she's there every single time for him and tries her best, but like I say, things just aren't going to
She's his
change.
rock. She's absolutely his rock.
Oh, she's the only reason he doesn't go nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he starts ranting, saying, there's a couple of times. She's like, okay, well, we'll just try. I know it's hard, but we can try again. We'll send you back. He goes, how many times do you think I've done this?
Yeah.
Sometimes I tell you. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I don't wait for her to die and just go back. Sometimes I'll wait all the way through and watch her die again, just A, to see how it's done, and B, the actual time, just to see if there's any difference. There isn't.
Yeah. He's numb to it. It's like he just watched Psychono.
He actually says, he comes out and says, look, I've seen it so many times now that, the few times where you did to Chris, you take her off and try and get her away from me to see if that works. You always phone me and tell me what's happened, and I can hear it in your voice. And yet, it just doesn't affect me anymore.
Well, the thing is that this is preceded by Chris basically telling him, if we don't fix this, if you keep doing this, you keep leaving back. It's like, it's gonna break you. It's gonna break your heart. He's like, yeah, it already has. How many times do you think I've done this?
Yeah.
I know. I'm numb now. And she's like, and you see Chris just going, oh God.
Yeah. Yeah, they do a great bit with Chris's facial animation where she's just like, her heart goes out to him in that moment. And yeah.
And and eventually they come up like with them and so the next important thing that happens is Suzu basically has to go back in time, finish her mission, to go back in time and make sure, because she was supposed to go back further. She came to this timeline to this year to meet her dad, to see her dad at least once, because she never got a chance to see him.
Well, the thing with it is her mission had her going back to 75.
Yep.
But it's an imperfect time machine that only goes backwards, and she thought she's never going to get this chance, so she'll make a pit stop in 2000. 2010, sorry. Just to see, her dad while he was alive and all this sort of stuff. And when she reveals herself and says, what she is and everything else, she gives
tiny little badge.
well, that's the thing she's got while she's looking for her dad, but it's more the thing she gives Okabe. The clock.
Yeah.
Mm. Oh, right.
That indicates how far they've diverged in percent. What percentage they diverged from the.
They need to hit the 1% barrier. They need to cross the 1% barrier.
Yeah, so from their original world, to be able to jump rope, so to speak, they need to go above 1% variance.
So the plan is basically to go back, make sure that he gets the IBN, and which means that they can get back into CERN and remove the evidence that CERN has that they're working on time travel. Because CERN's backhacked them because they picked up on the D-mails, and he's got to get rid of the evidence. They've got to get rid of the evidence in CERN's computers, so that they can't track them anymore. And so she leaps back, and the time machine was damaged because she's going to go do it, and he stopped her to talk about something. I forget exactly. Oh, about her dad. That's right. Going to meet her dad.
And he sends a D-mail back to himself because she disappears and leaving a note behind. He's like, that's dumb. I'll send a D-mail to myself to go after her so she doesn't go back in time. So he catches up with her and keeps her from going back so they can keep hanging out.
Yeah, that's before the whole. That's
before the angle.
That is the night of the party. Yeah, so he brings her to the party.
Yeah.
Because he went after her, he said.
And there's a torrential downpour, and it damages the time machine. So yeah.
And so but when she gets back to 75, she fails because the damage to the time machine, she forgets who she is. And doesn't
her memories only start creeping in as she starts getting closer to the point where she last jumped.
And she kills herself.
Yeah.
So eventually, Okabe and Chris eventually realize, okay, what we got to do is we got to undo all these D-mails.
Yeah.
So step one, we'll undo the one where the one where I went after her, the D-mail I sent myself to go after her. So he sends himself a D-mail to ignore that D-mail, which means she got back in time with her memories intact and got the computer, but it's still not where it's supposed to be.
Right. She she does end up killing herself. She still dies in the same timeline, but she dies of illness instead, and had led a happy life,
right.
as opposed to freaking out and
Right. So the next one they do is Ferris, because she's the one who had it after that.
Where that one's just oof. This is where we find out that the thing she did was she saved her dad.
Yeah.
And,
and the way she did that was, she faked her being kidnapped, and he sold off the IBN to pay the ransom.
By someone mysteriously coming out of nowhere and offering a hell of a lot of money for it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And so now Okabe is presented with the, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
In order to try to save Mayuri,
I have
dad's gonna die.
Yeah, I have to kill her dad. Because and he realizes the enormity of it. Like, and he eventually, because he doesn't know what Ferris sent back, so he ends up like trying to put it together and becoming increasingly desperate about it, and like starts shouting at Ferris, and slowly the memories of the previous timeline start creeping into Ferris's head, because it turns out everyone does. It's just that it's locked way in the back, shoved in with all the childhood trauma you suffered.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she's like, yeah, I used it to save my dad because and he's like, oh fuck, what do I do about this? And you can tell he comes to the conclusion that he can't ask her to do that.
Yep.
Yeah, he's absolutely 100% not going to make that decision.
Yeah.
He's like, his decision at that point is, I will find another goddamn way. I can't do that to her. She's my friend, and like, it's her dad. Like, seriously.
Yeah, I can't kill someone's. I can't do that to my friend, and more importantly, I can't kill someone for. I can't consign someone to oblivion even for Mayuri's sake. I can't make that choice of one life over another.
But Ferris says, you know what? I'll do it.
Yeah.
To the conclusion that because her memories have started to merge, so she kind of remembers the way that it was and the way that it is now in this reality. And she says, if as long as I keep my memories, I did it in the first place because I was young, I was stupid, I didn't understand that my dad loved me because he was always away on business trips. And now I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's kind of it's. I'm not doing it justice by any means, but
no, I don't think any of us could. I mean,
no,
it's really well done.
Point blank. You need to see this.
It is sad and tragic and unbelievably sweet, also,
and goddamn fucking heroic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, dear God, that girl. And she does it.
And she does it. So
step one's done.
That's one done.
The next
Akihabara
is Ruka.
goes back to being Moe Central.
Yeah.
Next is Ruka.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a mess.
And he had, Christina basically points out that you don't really need to ask Ruka for the information. You can just you
know what she sent. You can just undo it that way.
Because she can't believe that Ruka was a guy. And it takes a little convincing, but and she thinks he's horrible for saying that she was a guy. And he's like,
yeah,
seriously?
She's like, literally, this shit again? Really?
Yeah.
He's like, no, seriously. And he's like, well, you could just send it yourself. He's like, yeah, I don't know her mom's pager, even and you can tell also part is like, I can't just do it to her out of nowhere.
Yeah.
She won't remember necessarily, but like,
It's still altering someone else's, like, it's still
existence.
making a massive decision for someone else that they absolutely have every right for, and it's, it would be quite the violation,
Yes.
to put it mildly.
And
So,
he's fully aware of that.
Yeah, and that's that not knowing her mom's pager is the logical excuse he has. The moral one's clearly the one he cares about.
Yeah.
So, but Ruka eventually calls him back and basically agrees to do it, but with a request before it. And oh my god, it's sad. It's just so
Yeah.
because Ruka loves him, like, and always has.
Yeah.
And just ask him to be your boyfriend for a day, basically, before changing everything. Because
And it's actually kind of sadly hilarious.
oh yeah,
As Okabe desperately tries to be a good date, while Chris and Daru tag along on the sidelines trying to help out. They're both also incompetent.
yeah, like none of them have been on a date before. The closest Daru's gotten is dating sims and ecchi games,
Which is better than any of the others have.
Yeah, just saying something.
And eventually, like,
the date
eventually
ends,
Okabe's
etc.
like, yeah,
That's where the revelation about how they first met, and Ruka is now remembering that. It's like, oh god, you were actually serious about all. Oh wow, you really were serious. I'm remembering that now. But Okabe actually does have memory of, like, wait a minute. After the date's over, like, he eventually goes back to her and said, look, you weren't on a date with me. I was just trying to, you are too important to me to foist off this sort of pseudo fake
to fuck it up this way. He doesn't say that, but he shows up and he's his old self, and they do the same bullshit chicanery they usually do together.
Yeah. I mean, it was clear when they
painfully awkward and hilarious.
Yeah, when they went out, it was like a ridiculous boyfriend, prototype boyfriend template. That it wasn't him. He wasn't comfortable. They didn't chat. They didn't do anything because he wasn't being him, i.e., the person she loves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he, God bless him, catches on to that just in time.
Yeah.
But like, Ruka's heartbroken because she knows that when she goes back to be guys, she knows how Japanese culture works, honestly, and she can't, like, she has to bury her feelings for him.
And more to the point, he's straight. He can't return those feelings if he's a guy. It's just, sorry, the plumbing doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
Well, he says outright. She starts going on. You're not going to be able to return these the hugs and the feelings and everything else once I'm a guy again. And he's like, I don't care. You're Ruka to me.
Yeah. Which is kind of sad, 'cause it's basically saying you never had a chance anyway. But
well, she didn't.
No. I mean, you've got Chris in the room. I'm sorry.
Uh-huh. I mean, the real problem is that, even as a girl, that wasn't happening. I mean...
Yeah.
Yeah.
That wasn't the obstacle.
Yeah.
But even then, I mean, when the D-mail's sent and everything turns out it works and everything else, he goes back and he just straight up just to first thing he says, so Ruka, do you like me? Just complete and utter not icebreaker. That's a fucking ice smasher.
Yeah.
He just gets straight to the root of it. He's like, oh,
Ruka's like, we're friends.
You.
I respect you and
I admire you, and
yeah. All right, cool. That's just what I need to know.
But again, he reiterates again that you're Ruka. That's what matters.
Yeah, you're Ruka. You're my Droog. That's what matters.
And it's clear that obviously, again, it's insinuated that Ruka remembers both sides of it again.
Yep.
Yeah.
So the real problem now is that they're fairly certain Moeka's the one who, prevented the whole thing. The Moeka's text about the phone did, and they've got to do something about that. And this is where we find out the deal with Moeka.
An important bit is Mayuri's death gets pushed back one day for each
one of these things they do.
Yeah,
each of
one
these
of these
successes.
That's how they know it's working.
Yep.
Yeah. And he gets a great little moment with her because the thing is, she's been getting ready for Comiket this whole time with her cosplaying, trying to convince people to. She's trying to convince Chris and Ruka to dress up with her.
Yep.
And it's the one thing she's been looking forward to. And because he's managed to push her back a couple of days, she at least gets Comiket.
And he goes with her.
And he goes with her.
He goes with her one of the times, yes.
One of the times. And
there's the one where Chris goes is one of the most heartbreaking because when she calls after Moeka dies.
Yeah.
And just hearing her just... Oh.
She's busted.
Yeah.
And Okubi only goes the one time because he can't enjoy it, and she knows that he's not enjoying it, and it's keeping her from enjoying it.
Yeah.
So he's like, okay, this is a failure. Okay.
Yeah.
I won't go the next jump.
Yeah. The whole thing with Moeka... Oh, God.
Moeka's more than just awkward.
Yeah,
she's broken.
She's a fractured human being. I mean...
She is just shattered. From a psychological point of view.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, yeah. One other important note is that before she shoots Moeka the first time, she's muttering under her breath, it's all for FB. This comes back. So he does track her down, and in the current timeline, she's committed suicide. Yay.
Yeah.
So let's go back to before she commits suicide.
And he finds her curled up in the corner of her apartment, obsessively checking her phone, wondering why won't she text me? Where's FB? Where's FB?
Because FB has not gotten in contact with her for several days.
FB was her handler FB was her handler, and now she's not necessary, so FB cut her loose.
Yep. Oh, another important point we forgot to mention. When Moeka and the thugs showed up and the first time, they very clearly identified that they were CERN. That's actually very important.
Yeah, it's a CERN hit team. There's no question about that.
Yeah.
Agents of CERN.
They're the Rounders, as they call them.
Yep. That's what they refer to themselves, yeah.
So, yeah, he tries to get a phone away from her. It involves...
There's a fight.
An actual fight.
He beats the crap out of her, and she deserves what she gets for what she's done in the previous timelines. He does, however, first confirm, so if FB told you to do it, would you kill Mayuri? Yeah, without a question. Okay. Then he beats her up.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say he doesn't so much beat her up as such, but he lands one hell of a square shot to her jaw. Grabs the phone. And leaves the room. Because as soon as he picks up her phone, she goes absolutely feral.
Yeah.
And he just has to hold the door closed while she's just hammering on it from the other side.
Screaming.
Yeah.
And then he realizes that she never changed her phone. Yeah. What was the D-mail? What was the D-mail? What did she send back? How do I fix this?
Eventually, they figure out it was a message to FB about the location of the IBN.
Yeah.
So they try the first email to see to make like, it's a trap. Don't go there. She doesn't buy it clearly because it's not from FB. So now they have to find out who the hell FB is.
She does, because he basically points out that, FB has abandoned her. He has cut her. She has abandoned. FBI has abandoned her. She's cut her loose. And that you're going to kill yourself due to despair, like in X days. And I'm going to try to stop it because that's the only way I can figure out. The only way I can save Mayuri. And time itself wants all this to happen. Fuck time.
Yeah. Fuck the universe. Fuck destiny. Fuck fate.
Yep. Yeah. And she basically, as he's leaving, decides to tell him where the IBN is. It's in a coin locker. And they end up observing it after some hilarity before that.
Yeah, they stake it out. There's a brief moment where he goes back to the lab to grab a crowbar to tear it open to get the IBN, and Chris is like, no. That still won't solve the problem. Stake it out. We need to know who FB is so we can send an email from FB's phone. Because that's not going to solve the problem. That's not going to save Mayuri.
And he's like, oh, yeah, you're right.
Ah, fuck. Okay, fine.
So he ends up staking out the place staking out the thing. Moeka comes because she didn't originally want to see FB, but now she's like, you know what? I need to see this for myself.
Yeah.
Of course, it's not claimed by FB.
No, it's one of the thugs.
Yep.
Actually goes through all of what we later find out of the Rounders.
Yep. And it ends up being delivered to Mr. Brown's place.
Who is definitely not one of the Rounders.
Nope. And then it gets shipped off to Switzerland. So now they know.
Yeah. So they go and they confront FB or Mr.
So yeah,
Brown.
Okabe, Chris, and Moeka go talk to Mr. Brown. And Okabe asks him, "Do you know FB?" And he's like, well, Moeka, you sold us out."
You never thought to ask my first name? It's Ferdinando, by the way.
Well, it's not his actual first name. His handle was based on a scientist.
Yeah.
By
Who
the last
invented
name of Brown.
the cathode ray tube. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Mega's been convinced that FB has been a woman all this time because he basically took the role of a loving mother to help guide her. To guide her via these text messages.
That was the best way to manipulate her.
Yeah, because Moeka was literally on a roof about to jump.
Yeah. It's like, that's how we recruit everybody. I take the role of whatever their profile says they need, and that's how we handle them through text messages, and that's how we cut them loose. I hate working for CERN, but they go after your family if you try to leave.
And then he ends up shooting Moeka.
Yep. And then himself.
And then kills him.
It's the whole
because if I die, then they won't go after his daughter.
Yeah, his daughter. Yeah, it's like failure. Failure is not acceptable. Bang, and I fail too. Bang.
This way they don't go after my daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Takes Okabe a minute to realize that what he needs to do is rifle through.
Okabe doesn't really recognize it. He's freaking out because
right. He's freaking out trying to save Moeka. And
when Chris points out,
like, no,
the phone,
to get the fucking phone.
And he's like,
cops are coming. We need to get the fucking phone.
And so they use the phone to send an email back to Moeka to tell her, don't bother. It's not necessary. FB,
Yeah. Take no further. Something like take no further action.
Yep. And so they get the thing back, and they're all set to basically bring things back to the state it was before. To the original timeline. Etc. It'll be all thing. She'll be what's her Mayuri will be saved. Everything. You'll be back at the original timeline before any of the emails were sent. It'll be great. It'll be. And, Okabe's still going, everything like it was before when I saw Chris stabbed dead.
Oh. Which is something I'd picked up on earlier.
Yeah.
That was the first email, was the random text messages he got.
See, the thing is, we've seen this over 24 episodes. This guy's lived the same 3 weeks about 800 times.
Yeah.
So it's kind of understandable that he'd lose sight of the bigger picture when he's focusing on each individual moment. But yeah, when he makes that realization,
he's like, "Nope, we can't hack in right now. Nope."
Nope, we can't do the hack.
He does the whole thing where he waits a while and see if this is good enough, whether Mayuri survives. She doesn't.
Yeah, this is also where he basically eventually finds her. This is the one where he goes to Comiket with her.
Yeah.
Yes.
And eventually, she eventually leaves on her. Like, at some point, she leaves. Because all this time, she's been feeling more and more distant from him each iteration of this loop. Because they're talking less, and B, he's, breaking in ways she knows he is, but he's not telling her.
Well, I mean,
he's not
again,
telling her, and she can't articulate either.
Again, it shows her,
hurting, but she can't put her finger on it.
Well, it shows her emotional maturity again, because she's having a little heart-to-heart with herself, basically, and she says that, I know he's hurting, and I know it's me he's thinking about. And I can't help it.
She's at her grandmother's grave, basically talking to her dead grandma.
Yeah.
And she's talking about her dreams where she remembers all of the deaths.
Yeah, every time she dies. Each time it's Okabe there trying to save her. And she tries to tell him it's okay, but he doesn't hear her.
If he doesn't, he can't hear her, is the phrasing. Yeah. Which is, even more tragic and painful. And it's just like, oh my god. And he overhears all this, and he's just like, And so he's, and eventually, Chris eventually gets it out of him what's going on.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, so he tells her, and she's like, okay, you do other stuff. This is where she tells him basically, you go to Comiket with Mayuri. I'll see if I can think of something.
I'll figure something out. I'll do the math. I'm better at the math than you are.
The math doesn't work.
Yeah.
And the really the most heartbreaking thing about all of this is they've fallen in love with each other over all of this. Yes.
They've clearly fallen for each other, and yeah.
Well, I mean, clearly it's hard. With her. There must have always been something there, because obviously by this point she's only known him about a week or two.
Well, part of it is that it's the accumulated partial memory she's got buried in the back, like everyone else has.
Yes. But then he's
also seeing his increasing determination to save Moeka has, not Moeka, Mayuri.
Maria.
She's seen the real, the driven, determined man he is inside.
She's actually his guard is dropped. She sees who he really is.
Yeah, unreasonably strong to be able to go through it all as well.
Yeah, but also just how much he cares about people and his friends. I mean,
yes,
yeah. So she basically comes to the conclusion, all right, well, this entire timeline's an aberration anyway. And besides, there are 1,000 different world lines out there, like an infinite amount. There is one where I survive anyway. So we'll just return you to the one where I don't, and that'll save her, and just because I'm dead in this one doesn't mean I'm not alive somewhere else.
Yeah, she's like, just because you leave this world line and go back, who knows what happens? You might carry on, another Okabe might replace you, and just this timeline carries on without you. I'm alive. I'm here. You go back to the one where that you belong to. And she tries to make the decision easier for him by saying, look, you know what, my time's up anyway. I'm going to go back to America. I'll remove myself from the situation. And you can make that choice with a clear head. I'm not going to be in your life either way, because I've got to go home.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he does. They do the hack. They remove it.
They do the hack. They remove the information. She bursts into the room right before it goes through because she never told him how she feels.
I mean, so she kissed him.
Yeah.
No, no.
They did.
No,
they did.
They did. No, they did.
They did. They very much did. Before they went to the airport.
He takes the chance, and then
was that an iteration after this point?
Nope.
No.
Okay.
There's after this point there is no iteration.
You're right. Goddamn time travel stories.
Yes.
The difference is, like I said, the words are never said.
Right.
And he's at the point hitting the enter button to send himself back where she bursts through the door. Just says, occurring eye, zap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they've gotten it back to the original timeline. Chris is dead.
Hooray!
Well, Chris is not dead yet.
Yet.
It's before that day. And, and that's where the episode ends. Mayuri's alive. They've saved everything. Hooray! But Chris is going to die. Boo.
Actually, no. It's past that day.
Oh, it's past that day. Yes, Chris is dead. That's right. You're right.
Chris is dead.
There's a very
But we
important
are
reason.
back. But we are back to stage 0. We are back to the beginning. And this is the episode. And this is the episode where we think, "Yep, that's it, done." Why is there 3 episodes left?
2 episodes, actually, I believe. But,
2, sorry, yeah.
Yeah,
2
and
episodes.
then the end credits start happening. They start going a bit glitchy, and we hear Okabe. We hear him getting a phone call from God, who is? No, someone gets a phone call.
No, it's Okabe.
Yeah.
Okabe. He gets the phone call from Suzu. You have to listen to me. I need your help to stop World War III.
Yeah. You're never going to believe any of this, but meet me on the roof of this building. I need your help to prevent World War III from happening.
Huh?
To which we all went, wait, what?
Goddamn time travel stories.
Yes.
Yeah. So it turns out that Chris's death, if he'd have just stayed in this timeline anyway, Chris's death is the catalyst for the Third World War.
It's more complicated than that, but yes.
Yeah, so they meet Suzu on the roof with a perfected time machine now. Fully aware of who
backwards
her
and
father
forwards.
is. Yes.
Yeah.
Fully aware of who her father is.
Yep.
It was Daru, by the way.
Yes, it was Daru.
Yeah.
Dude eventually gets laid.
Somehow.
Yeah, we figure it out because the time machine's got some like FG 204.683 on the side or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's basically his ridiculous fucking naming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
FG Future Gadget. Stupid iteration. It's got to be Daru.
Yeah.
At any rate, so he basically she basically tells Okabe, like, look, I need you to come with me to go back in time to stop World War III from happening. Billions of people are going to die. It's all this stuff. I need your help. And he's like, yeah, no, I'm done.
Fuck him.
I'm so done with time travel. You do not understand.
Yeah, and I can't blame him either.
No.
Yeah.
Like anybody else. No.
It's literally, she says, look, it's something like 5.7 billion people, and he's like, I don't care.
Yeah.
And then
the utter shock of Mayuri. Like, she's like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah. She actually slaps him. She, like...
That's a little bit later, but yes. That's a bit after he explains. That's a bit later, but yeah.
He starts going on
what convinces him to go through is, listen, we have to go back in time to save Chris from getting stabbed.
We
He's
have
like,
to
what?
save Chris and Makise just from being stabbed to prevent World War III, dying from World War III
Yeah.
happening. It's like,
Susan is literally like, okay, would it change your mind if I said that it involves saving Chris?
and he's like,
What?
What?
And he says, look, 5.7 billion people, I do not give a shit about. I am not doing this. What I care about is one person I met a week ago.
Yeah.
It's a month. For him, it's more than a month, but...
For him, it's fucking years, but yeah.
Oh, the poor bastard.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he goes back to save her. And we see, we had to see how she ended up getting stabbed. She showed up. It turns out the guy who was giving the presentation on time travel was Chris's father.
Yeah.
And she
The
had
one
a little...
she constantly debunked. Hence why she keeps saying time travel's not possible. You're being dumb.
And she has she'd actually come up with a working theory of time travel that she brought with her to share with her dad, and they figured that the two of them could publish it together.
Just to try and get back on good terms with him, she said, "Fine, I will look into this time travel thing." Oh
Right.
shit! It actually is possible. Here, I've written this paper. We can publish it together. And he's like, "Fuck that!"
And he just goes bonkers.
Yeah, it's like, no, fuck you. This is my work. This is my name. No, how dare you show me up at my thing?
Well, the big thing is that, like, we find out, like, during the previous thing, like, she mentions that, they used to debate about science. She kept winning, and he became really insecure about it.
Yeah.
He is absolutely fucking twisted beyond belief about it.
Yeah, like, it's
He
a point where it's like,
start
how
ranting about how dare my own daughter be smarter than me.
yeah. And then if he gets rid of her, then he'll get to be smart again. It's like, dude,
That's not how this works.
That's not how this works.
Dude,
And-
you're a scientist. It's fucking evolution. The next generation are meant to outdo the last.
yeah, and he's gonna just take the paper and publish it in his own name and not have her name on it because fuck her.
Yeah.
And he starts threatening her, which is when Okabe comes in to save her, because he's convinced, this is where he stabs her. Shit, she's killed her own father. That's fucked up. Yeah, it turns out that Okabe's kind of a klutz.
Kind of.
You know where
And,
this is
he
going.
picks up the knife to
Yeah,
defend her.
because Chris's dad initially attacks Okabe.
He thinks they're in it together because he...
Yeah, it's
Calling
clearly
out
a
on his
conspiracy to mock him, because he's the same guy that just tore him apart in the fucking conference. How dare you?
Because in that previous times, Okabe does tear him apart.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
Chris's dad is just completely wrong about his approach on this thing.
It's not
And
that,
it
it's
stole
not that
most of
he's
his
wrong.
research. He stole most of his ideas from John Titor.
He's
Yeah.
basically just regurgitating John Titor's stuff.
And so he drops the knife. Okabe picks it up to, save Chris, and stumbles and stabs her.
Yeah. It doesn't even really stumble because her dad has her pinned against the wall and he's strangling her.
Right.
And Okabe charges to get him in the back to stab him in the back. And just as she frees herself and knocks her father away. And yeah, sucking chest wound.
So yeah,
And they do
Okabe
it in
kills
slow motion
Chris.
too, the bastards.
Oh
Yeah.
god, it's rough. And the
And
level
he
of
starts
freak out.
charging, and I'm just like, no, dude, don't charge.
Yeah, and
Do it.
this leaves him being brought back to the contemporary time and covered in blood and even more broken than he was before.
Yeah.
Not only did he not save her, but he was actually responsible for her death the whole time.
Like, he is just like, this is his lowest point. Like,
Yeah. And Suzu's like, okay, so we just need to go back and try one more time. And he's like, no. Nope.
As soon as like,
this is
look,
where
I
he
understand.
basically just says, I give up. There's
Yeah.
I've done this before hundreds of times. There's no saving this at this point.
Well, Susan's like, well, actually, there kind of is. I hate to be this big of a dick, but you
but
failing
You had to fail the first time.
that was part of the plan.
But his saying he's giving up at this point is where
Where Mary slaps him.
yeah, she's
Yeah.
like, no, you don't give up. I know you.
Yeah. And it's like, you had to fail first so that you would do this. And she gives him a phone, which has basically got a recorded message of himself 15 years in the future.
Yeah, she said he has a recorded message from himself in the future on his phone that didn't work until after this.
Yeah.
Because he sent himself a D-mail.
Yep. Which
But
wouldn't
in
come
video.
through until he was actually at the point where he could become obsessed enough about creating a working time machine to go back in time. But yeah,
he needed to undo the paradox by causing himself to become obsessed to the point of madness.
right. So yeah, the time travel documents that the time travel theory that Chris came up with that her father stole, he brought with him to Russia. And time travel becoming an actual thing started an arms race that basically led to World War III that wipes out a whole bunch of people because time travels can be used in awful, awful ways.
Yep.
Unsurprisingly, and there was a fire in the plane that was Thor didn't save the documents he had, because he had this little metal thing that Mayuri had gotten in the first episode and lost, and
from
Chris
a
had picked up.
gachapon machine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it got mixed in within her dad's stuff, within her papers. But she looked and said, "Oh, this is cute," and put it with her stuff. So yeah, he goes back in time and comes up with a very creative solution to stopping So basically, the plan is we have to make it look like Chris died, so that I'm convinced she's died, so all this goes forward the way it's supposed to.
Yeah, it's like that whole. I know you spent a long time going back and back and back in the other timeline. That has to happen.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but it has to. You need to change time without changing time.
Yeah.
And when you think about it, it's so fucking simple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the most simple plan that of everything that's gone so far, but it took so much fucking work to get there.
Yeah.
It only works because of the journey he's had to go on.
Yep.
And it is literally the case of when we first bumped into him, episode 1, he saw Chris lying in a pool of blood and left. Ran off screaming until the police. So he saw what he thought was a dead person lying in a pool of blood.
So he goes back again. He comes with a plan. He's got this lightsaber toy that he made, basically, which has this red liquid inside to make it glow red. He's going to use that to create a pool. It's this viscous, thick red liquid. It looks like blood. Perfect. So he gets to the scene. He also makes sure to get the metal toy out of the machine ahead of before Mayuri can get it. So
that the documents burn up in the plane.
This way, the documents will burn up in the plane. That will prevent that. Then to save Chris, he said, "Okay, great. Driving her dad off will be much easier this time. Thumbs up. And then I'll use the liquid in here, which is dried up. Fuck."
It's been so long since I've used it. Fuck.
Yeah.
All I need is something that looks like blood.
Wait, I'm filled with blood.
Yeah.
I'm reminded of a Death Clock song.
So he could so her father shows up to do that. He starts, and God bless him. Okabe comes out and goes into full mad scientist rant mode.
Yes.
And
Complete
proceeds
with
to
ridiculous
tear her
posing
father
and-
apart. And gets him to stab him.
Yeah. Now, to frame this, for quite some time, we'd been debating about how this is going to all play out. And one of the theories that we came up with was that, and they'd mentioned it, they teased it earlier on about this scene where Okabe was violently ill as a child, on death's door, and pulled through. And they reference it, and it's made a big thing of, but then never pops up again. And it's kind of started to hint towards that Okabe is the deciding factor here. Are we going to go to a point where he just, where it's not about Chris surviving or Mayuri surviving, it's about whether he survives?
Yeah.
And we've been having these thoughts the whole time, and then this happens.
And he gets stabbed.
Yeah.
In the stomach.
And he pulls the blade out to further freak out Chris's dad, which is awesome.
Yeah. Just so you can get a good bleed going.
But he's pointing at the knife in his face, with blood dripping off. It's beautifully freaky.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, Chris's dad, he wasn't homicidal at that point. It was just, it's that thing, it's happened. It's like, oh my god, he kind of goes into shock. And, yeah, Okabe's standing over him saying, "I'll fucking kill you. You don't know who I am." And still going on mad scientist mode. Until Chris's dad just basically grabs the documents he can, comes to his senses and bolts. Chris comes over and tries to get him to lie down. She recognizes the wound. Says, "Lie down on your back. I'll call an ambulance." and before she's got chance, he hits her with a taser.
Yeah, she starts calling, for emergency services, and he tasers her.
And then because, we need a good, convincing crime scene, he knife hands himself in the stomach.
Yeah, to get
To
more
open
blood
up
out
the
there.
wound to produce enough blood to, yeah.
Suzu shows up at this point. He's like, "What the fuck?"
All the fucking flags are being waved at this point.
It's like, you didn't need to go this far, dude.
It's like, "Yeah, I did."
No, it wouldn't have been enough otherwise.
And she's like, look, okay, fine. She's there in this pool of blood. Okay, fine. Like, if we get you back now, we might be okay. And he's like, no, I need to check one thing.
To make sure this happens.
And he sits there and waits for his younger self to come and find the scene and do what he did and not fuck things up.
At which point they
Okay.
go back to the time machine, and go back to the where they left. But Suzu, isn't, because of all of this. It changes the future, so she's not gonna be the one coming back.
Yeah.
So
They, like I said earlier, they were on rope. They were jumping between rope Alpha and Beta. They found rope Charlie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The whole plan was they were doing, they were doing binary. Now they've discovered a 2.
Yeah.
Yep. And they move there, and she fades away, and we get back to he's he's
Well, it just
they
all
fixed
fades out.
everything.
It fades, everything just fades out to white.
Yep. And so he's there in this new timeline, and he remembers everything, and everybody lives.
Yeah.
I
use the line, Gav.
I know, and it's coming, but I thought anyone who's watched this series all the way through has known I have one pet peeve. They did it in Gurren Lagann. They did it in Rage of Bahamut and a few others where everyone gets a happy ending except that one character that has to be sacrificed or gets snatched away, or the love interest gets snatched away and the hero kind of wins, but he's forlorn and everybody else. But no, just this once, everybody lives!
And it's even better than that, because Okabe's walking in the street, sort of, being contemplative, and thinking about out there somewhere, Chris is alive. She's probably back in America, at conferences and all that stuff. I'm okay with this. I actually can move forward from this now. This is great. And you see see Chris walking down the street, and they cross paths.
And they stop and they turn.
And she's there, like, yes, I can thank you properly for saving my life. Thank you.
There's no hint at the moment that she's got any of her memory or anything like that, but it's the dude that saved her life.
Yeah.
But it's better than that, because he's been like making little badges for every member of the thing. He's of the badges that Suzu had brought back, so he's actually making them this time.
Mm-hmm.
For each member of the lab and their number in the lab, etc. And he saved lab number, the number 3 or 4 badge. I forget which one Chris has. 4. And he's like, so actually, I think it's 3 because he's number 0. Moot point. Not important. That's not important. And so he gives it to her and says, you are a member of the lab, etc. And like she's like, what the hell? I'm not your assistant. But you can see this like at the moment that part of the memories are still there, and she's sort of remembering this stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
And her taking the thing and accepting being a member of the lab is where the show ends.
Yeah. It is that great little like snatch moment where he hands her the badge, says, you're welcome back at the lab anytime, assistant. And she just, out of the blue, snaps, I'm not your assistant. Why did I say that? And it's like, yes!
Yeah.
And that's where the show ends. On that moment. A moment of perfection.
Yeah.
I was astonished. I was not expecting this ending.
Yeah, everything clicks into place, and it's a happy ending, and
it's an earned happy ending.
Yes,
yeah,
it feels saccharine
for everyone. Even Moeka's alive in this universe,
yes, and better off.
Yes,
and
because in this universe, Mr. Brown is legitimate rather than being an agent.
He's not a CERN handler, and he hires her to be a part-timer. So yeah,
she's taking Suzuka's role, and Suzuka's badge is put in a tin to one side. Says, "Yeah, she'll be along in about 7 years for that."
yeah.
And God damn it, Hashida's like, "What do you mean 7 years? You'll find out."
It's so good. Like this show, God, this show puts you through the fucking ringer, and then it pays it all off appropriately.
Yes.
In a good, solid, believable, earned happy ending.
And there's so much, like you say, there's so much to go through after as well. I mean, like, for example, since we finished watching, I've been just, like, going through the whole plot of it again in my head and realizing, oh, shit, hang on a second. The only reason CERN have time travel at the moment is because of the microwave.
Yep.
Their technology is the technology they used. The theory they got to build the microwave is the advancement of the prototype based on their technology.
Yep.
It's almost a fucking bootstrap paradox.
Yeah. No, the show's great, and I love this show. I really do. I'm kicking myself for taking so long to see it.
Yeah,
Yes.
same.
And it's stupendously tight. It's so well put together. It's efficient in its storytelling. There's not a wasted minute. And it has a happy, everybody lives, everybody gets what they need, and it's not cheap or saccharine or pandering. It's all entirely earned, and that's fucking awesome.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
The show's really good.
Yeah. This needs to be on everyone's watch list.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is I think the first. This is one of the shows. I think we all agree is a must watch.
Yes.
Well, I mean, we've had a few.
We've had a few. Yeah. I was starting to correct myself.
Yeah, for different reasons, we've had a few. It will depend on your appreciation for the subject. If you don't like time travel and you don't like that kind of sci-fi, don't bother.
Well, give it a shot. You might like it anyways. You might get to spite
give it a shot.
You might get a little bit lost.
I suspect this is a Johnny Cash situation where for people that don't like time travel, it will transcend the genre for them. Because again, the character work is so fucking good.
Yes, this is the thing. So even if you get lost with the actual subject itself, and I'm quite happy to admit I had to ask questions a couple of times, but it soon clicked in. But like I say, the show itself the characters were well developed. They're not just they're people.
Yeah.
They are,
yes,
honest to God, fleshed out people. Every single one of them. Even the kid, like the dude downstairs, Mayuri is the only one that has any real interaction with him and with her, sorry, and Suzu every now and again. But even the kid is a kid. She does the little greeting with Mayuri. She does the whole thing where Suzu asks her, if your dad asked, I wasn't outside, okay? And she goes in and starts looking like she was working. And says, hey, where's Suzu? I'm not allowed to tell you she wasn't outside. And it's like silly little things like that are needed for a good character. It's not just about what they say and what they do. It's those little reactions, and this show is full of them.
It's a great show. That's all. It's fantastic. It is, as I said early on at the beginning. This is one of if not the smartest shows we've watched. It's in the top 4 easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I say, when you consider the topics that it handles, I mean, I covered all the scientific stuff, but then there's the social stuff as well, the economics of an entire fucking city based on one decision.
Yeah. And it handles relationships well.
And Ruka with the the trans issue and all that kind of stuff. It covers so much.
It's just a really well done show.
God bless the writer.
Yeah.
Fucking gymnastics.
This show This is one of those shows that sort of always shows up on people's top 10 lists.
Deserves it.
It fucking deserves it.
Now we know why.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kremty in the chat mentions that the visual novel is often considered one of, if not the best of the genre. And I believe it.
Yeah,
If this series is any indication, yes, If I was moved to want to play a VN, this would be the first one I'd go to. I think.
I agree. Yes.
Holy cow, this is good. Like, wow. This is. I haven't been this pleasantly surprised by an anime since I watched Psycho-Pass season 1.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. Those are the two shows we've covered that have blown me away completely.
Peter likes his intellectual shows.
What? No. Peter likes thinky science fiction. The deuce, you say?
Never would have guessed.
Yeah. I just like things that go boom.
I do too. I love Yamato for as an example. I mean,
yeah.
Also, this is just the perfect antidote for dragon-induced diabetes.
Yeah, Eric needed this after a Dragon Maid.
and yet, it's not just misery porn, because it's not.
It's not misery porn at all.
No, there's a happy ending.
It never gets to misery porn levels.
No, it doesn't.
Because
no.
There's always a path, and they're always moving towards it.
Yes.
However shitty as that path is,
We
towards a better solution.
We spoke about this after we finished. It's like you watch something like Saikano, where eventually you just get numb.
Yeah.
I was joking with someone on the online. It's like, it's okay. Certain animes make you feel sad. Saikano has already eroded away such simple levels of misery as tears. There's no need for that shit. But this just doesn't matter. How many times this guy's gone drinking that.
You okay, Gav?
Yeah, basilisks have extremely long barrels, and I get animated with my hands.
Okay.
So basically, this guy, it doesn't matter how many times this guy's gone round and round the circle, you still care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The character, in each individual character, and each individual, the most of, Ruka and Ferris, they're handled in one episode each, more or less.
Yep.
But they've been built up to this point so well, even with brief appearances, that the characters, you care about them, and in that one episode, you get the entire thing. You don't need any more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say,
Because...
I think part of the reason that you still care and still feel engaged and feel like there's a path forward is because of Chris.
Yes.
Her emotional steadiness
and awesome.
And her, her plan, her theories and such, and her ability to work with Okabe and come up with a plan to go forward. That's why you along with Okabe are able to keep going. And that's why the moment where Okabe realizes that if they succeed, Chris dies is so heart-wrenching.
Yes. It's fucking devastating.
We all knew that this was a possibility and probably what was going to happen, and it still hit like a fucking truck.
Yeah, because she saw it hit him.
Yeah, and it's believable the way it hit him, and it's just like, oh my god. Like it really, legitimately, this is it's so well put together. I definitely. This probably is now has moved into my top 5. It's probably knocking something out of there. I don't know what yet. This is one of the best shows I've ever watched. And again, I am baffled that there's Saikano Zeros is happening. Not because you can't do a sort of side cool where it's going to a different timeline. I'm okay. I understand that, but why do you need to?
Yeah, it doesn't need it at all.
Not even that. It's like you can only be unless you manage to capture lightning in the bottle twice.
Yeah,
you can only be compared unfavorably with the original.
Yeah,
I mean,
it doesn't matter how good you do it, unless you manage to perfect that bit of alchemy, and you're not going to be able to. It's
I mean, I'll admit there's even an episode 25, which is basically an OVA, but it's kind of counted and tagged onto the end of the series. We didn't watch it for this. But even that, just anything outside of the base series, people are like, It's kind of
I
not
don't really have an intent.
necessary.
I don't have any intent to watch it. Like,
No.
Yeah.
I don't need more Steins Gate. I have enough with these 24 episodes.
Yeah, exactly. Even like so, even that one OVA was like kind of, and I've not heard good things about the sequel series.
I've heard it starts off strong and then sort of loses its
Cliff
way.
dives.
Yeah. So, but yeah. This show. Normally we do a sort of our final thoughts. I think we've got them here. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Go,
think we
go
can
watch the show.
go watch the show, man.
Just watch the show.
It broke our format. Go watch it. Like we've got a format.
Yeah, it's definitely. Again, this might be in my top 5.
Yeah, this is high up there. I don't know if I ever need to see it again. I'll find out.
That's
in
the
6
thing
months.
for me.
I'll find out in 6 months, but it's.
I can envision
It's in
rewatching this because I want to be able to watch it and look at how it's structured more carefully at some point. I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's why I'm saying ask me again in 6 months.
Yeah, right,
'cause
totally.
In 6 months, if I'm ever going to watch it again, I'll be halfway through it.
But like, I can envision watching this again. Unlike Saikano Shi, the Ultimate Weapon. No, that's not happening.
Yeah, that I never want to see that show again. Best show I never want to see again.
Saikano
If someone
was great,
asks me, do you
but-
want to sit down and watch Saikano? No, I do not. But you suggested it. Yes, I did.
I'm not emotionally equipped for a second watching of that show. But no, seriously, it's a great show. Like, I got nothing but
This
but
is
praise for
really,
this.
really good. Go watch it.
Yeah.
Do it now.
So
Do it. Do it now.
do it.
It deserves the universal praise it gets.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't say that often.
No. Like literally, we tried to find some fault with it last night after finishing it.
Yeah.
I suspect that maybe in a few months, if I go back and think about it again, I might be able to think of some nitpick. I mentioned like the chip conference, the thing with the chip in the eye thing. That's like my only quibble right now. It's like, what the fuck was with that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Does CERN have brainwashing chips? What?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, your whole confusion about CERN being a political power. Yeah, it is a political power because of these guys.
I know.
Yes.
It's literally a circle. They created CERN, who sent information back in the past.
They created this version of CERN.
Yeah, they created the part of CERN, the rounders essentially, that sent information back in the past so CERN could develop time travel and take over. God, scientists are scary.
Time travel is the other lesson we've learned from the show is time travel is stupid. Don't do it.
Yes.
As much as I love Doctor Who, no.
Even Doctor Who gets it wrong sometimes.
Yeah. So that's it for this episode, guys. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you haven't seen the show, go.
Yeah. This is one of those shows that gets universal praise, and it just absolutely deserves it.
Mm-hmm.
Not often I say that, but this is one of. Yeah.
So next up is Gav's next choice. Gav, have you decided yet?
Yeah, we're gonna go. I've noticed lately I've been kind of hitting a lot of big hitters. Big names that people are well aware of and probably have seen. We're going to get one more out of the way. We're going to stick with the pseudo-intelligent style. I say pseudo because I think this next one thinks it's a lot smarter than it is, although it's fairly good. Ghost in the Shell. Standalone complex. We'll give it a go.
Darn, not season 1 of Standalone Complex. No.
Oh, no, not a seminal piece of of cyberpunk science fiction. I hate that.
Yeah.
As an aside, I think we've all seen it, but who cares? We're watching it again.
It's been a while.
No, don't make me watch this again.
And I think you guys can guess what our opinion of the show is, but we'll save it for the next episode.
It sucks.
Yeah.
So thank you guys for what. Go ahead, Gav.
I was going to just say one last thing. So you see, a show about time travel. You all expected Doctor Who quotes. It wasn't the one that you expected.
Yes.
No wibbly wobbly round here.
Nope, not even a little bit.
Not even a little bit. No, there's nothing wibbly or wobbly involved. It is tungsten rods is what it is.
As I said, this is a show that is crafted out of pure neutronium.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching, everybody. We hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you guys next time. It'll probably be a few weeks.
Yeah.
Take care, and we will see you in the future. Yeah, actually, because we'll be doing
So no one sent us any erroneous text messages.
Oh, Jesus Christ, no.
No, that could just like delete the entire season, series, show, everything. Me. Delete me!
Bye, everybody.
We can't delete you, Gav. We need you for our cunning plans.
Ah. Bye!